This is Carrie, and we're the founders of A Natural Shift. Our mission is to empower busy women with simple tools to live a vibrant life. We know you guys are busy just like we are, and you want some simplistic tools and steps to have to live the life that you want, to live the most vibrant life possible. So we are coming to you on this wonderful Wednesday. Every Wednesday, actually, at noon, actually 12:30, we'll be with you guys sharing a different topic that we think is important, and just some tips and tricks that have kind of helped us along the way. Still a work in progress, of course. But today we are going to be talking about probably one of the hardest things to conquer, quite honestly, and that is sugar and the sugar addiction, not only among ourselves, but also our kids. It's actually becoming such a big problem now with the rise in obesity levels with children. Diabetes is on the rise. And so this is a real problem that if we can conquer this and really just kind of start to make some simple changes, over time, it's going to really help in the long run and help us, get to, hey, Katie, get to that vibrant life that we want and that we want for our kids. So first, I just kind of wanted to start with what some of the recommended daily allowances for sugar are. It's kind of a little bit ambiguous if you look at what the recommendations are for kids, because there are different sources will tell you different things. But basically less than 20 grams of sugar, and that's added sugar, okay? So we're not talking about natural sugar that comes from fruits and vegetables, but just added sugar. So definitely less than 20 grams. You'll find a range of anywhere from 8 to 20 if you look at the literature. And that's really, if you were to add up everything that your kids or you have in a day, I guarantee it's way more than that. I mean, I know for myself it has been, and it's something that I've really been trying to work on, and I know Carrie feels the same way. And, if you have noticed, there'll be some comments sometimes on the internet and on social media that sugar is as addictive or more addictive than cocaine. And I really, truly believe that. It is, because once you kind of get a taste of it, then you just want more, right? And that's what you see in your kids. When we eat sugar, or when our kids eat sugar, it really makes us very moody and tired, because at first you get that little high, which is great, but that doesn't last very long. And then you just get this crash. And you'll notice if you give your kids, or if your kids have more sugar in a day, then they're probably cranky and moody, and you might be too if you had some. It also decreases our ability to think clearly. And I don't know about you, but I need all the clear thinking that I can get. So, that's all the more reason to cut back. It kind of creates that brain fog where we just can't think as clearly as we should be able to. It leads, again, to obesity. We talked about that. And it also promotes inflammation in your body. It kind of like turns on inflammation in your body. So you're not going to heal as quickly from, certain issues that might come up. You're not going to heal as quickly. But also, all chronic diseases start from inflammation. So the less inflammation that we have in our body, the better we are. And another thing you might notice with sugar is it leads to headaches often. You'll get headaches, especially if you go a long time, or not even a long time, say a couple of days without any sugar. I know Carrie and I have talked about this before. Maybe when we do a detox, or when we're just, trying to really cut back on any added sugar. And we'll do that, for let's say a few days or a week. And then we have something that, has sugar in it. Instantly we'll get a headache. And it's kind of a joke amongst us. We laugh about it because our taste buds wanted it, but it's like totally not worth it, in the end. So that just kind of goes to show you what sugar can do, when you're kind of clean of it and then you put it into your body. It can really make you feel bad. So Carrie's going to go over, we're going to kind of start by some ways and kind of some different areas that you can think about trying to cut back for yourself and also for your kids and your family.
Sure. So I'm going to start with
Something that may not be as obvious to you, you might be thinking about what you actually eat, maybe chew up your food, but there's a lot of hidden sugars in drinks. And a while ago, that was one of the first things that I cut out. I remember, I used to drink an occasional soft drink or different sort of drinks like that. And I wanted to, we love food. Both of us, we just love food. We like to eat. So I wanted to get if I were to consume sugar or calories in general, I really want them to be something that I can physically chew up, and it just makes me more satisfied. So that's the first place that I wanted to kind of dive into and look at is where are we getting extra added sugars in our drinks? Obviously for adults, it's sweet tea, it's lemonade, maybe Coke or something like that. Those are pretty obvious places. But for kids, a lot of times it's the apple juice that you feel like you're giving them something good with some nutritional value, but it has a ton of sugar in it if you look at it. And it really is almost devoid of any kind of nutritional value. So I basically only give my kids a choice of drinking water at my house. And some people might think, oh my goodness, you're just a bad mama, right? But it's just a different train of thought. It's just, I don't really feel like they need any of that. And I don't feel like it does anything for their health. So if I'm going to give them a treat, I'm going to give them something most likely that I've made that's special, but it's going to be a special treat that we can have, not just juice every day and not, added sugars in the things that they consume as far as liquids go. So just some tips if you give your kids juice a lot right now. Some ways that you can cut down on that is, especially for younger children, you probably know this trick of watering down the juice. Now, if they're older, they're probably going to be like, this doesn't taste the same. But if you can start out that way, at least if you do choose to give your kids some juice, that cuts down the sugar tremendously. So maybe half apple juice, half water, something like that would be a great thing to do. But really, if you start them off just expecting to drink water, that's the best thing that you can do. It's a little bit harder when they're older and they're used to those things. But honestly, if you don't buy it, and we'll talk about this, and as we go through, they'll start not wanting it as often. Yes, they might pitch a fit for it a couple of times, but you just have to stand strong and not purchase it at the grocery store. And after a time, they'll realize that you're really serious about this, and this is just how it's going to be. Because as women, as moms, we are the ones that go to the grocery store most of the time, and we are bringing these things into our house. So it's our decision. Your kids shouldn't, tell you what to buy at the grocery store. Obviously there's treats, but you should take charge of that and know what's right, or, what you want to feed your kids is what you call healthy and nutritional. So that's the first one, as far as just what you consume. Now, obviously, if your kids are old enough, probably about 7 or 8, and as an adult, you can put grapefruit essential oil, lemon essential oil in your water. So that's a great way to flavor your water and not get any added, sugars or anything like that in there. And I know we both like to drink essential oils in our water all the time. So that's a really nice option for my kids aren't quite old enough, and I know Julie gives her kids, citrus essential oils in their water. So that's a great thing to do just to make it a little bit different. So the second kind of area that I wanted to talk about is cereals. A lot of times, especially in the morning, or maybe we have a bowl of cereal at night, that's a huge place that sugars hide. And I know some people are just so used to giving their kids cereals, and not that we're saying to cut that out completely, but you would be really shocked, like Julie said, if you just looked at how much sugar is in the box cereals. It is unreal. It's just like a shame that they call that breakfast. That's not, maybe that's a treat. Maybe you, instead of giving your children cookies after a meal, they'll have a bowl of cereal. Because it's really, sometimes it's even more sugar than you would think of like a treat, like a baked good. So it's, just to be aware of these things is really the first step. We are all about small changes. So make a small change by looking at the supplement facts box on the cereal that you purchase and just see, wow, there's a lot of sugar in one serving. And you think about trying to stay around 20 grams, you've pretty much blown it, in the first meal of the day. And that's not setting them up for success throughout the day either. It's really devoid of any type of nutritional value. And it's really going to just set themselves up just to crave junk the rest of the day, to be honest. So just a few tips on if your kids do love cereal, or if you like cereal, just try to look at the supplement facts box. Try to find one that has less sugar than you're already consuming, that you're already purchasing. Maybe that's similar but less sugar.
We like the brands Nature's Path and Cascadian Farm. They're pretty good as far as the ingredients that they put in there, and lots of times they're going to be lower sugar. So those are just some tips around what cereals to purchase. And just in the mornings in general, if you think about oatmeal is a good choice. And sometimes if you put fruit in it or raisins, it doesn't need to be sweetened with anything else. You can make some muffins that are good quality, or just choose some maybe bars that are quick and easy. I know that a morning is very stressful and just rushed. So I understand that you don't want to be sitting on the stove cooking a 4-course meal in the morning, but it's really important to set yourself and your kids up for the rest of the day to be not so hungry and not so, just craving that sugar all day long. So definitely wanted to mention that. And Julie's going to go into a few more ways that we can look at decreasing sugar in our life.
Yeah, and a couple of things came to mind as you were talking, Carrie, talking about really trying to get that water, kind of set that as a precedence as, hey, this is what we drink. Here's your choices, water or water. I mean, you have the option to do that, and you shouldn't feel bad about it. You are setting the kids up for success, not failure in the future, if you kind of set that as a precedence. But other than adding essential oils, I did want to mention something that my kids actually love. They drink oils in their water. They take them to school in, their little bottles like this. But a lot of times they love to have just cut up fruit in water. So you could keep a big pitcher in your refrigerator with some strawberries, blueberries, blackberries, even cucumber, things like that in your refrigerator. And it reminds me of when we stay in hotels a lot on the weekends because my kids play travel ball. And so anytime we go into a hotel that has, some water that has the fruit in it that's flavored, they always get a big cup, and they're like, oh, this tastes so good. Will you just get some of this at home, Mom? And I'm like, okay. So that might be something that you want to try that, it's kind of fun for them and they don't feel deprived. They think, oh, this is special. This is neat. I've got some berry flavored water or whatever. But that's a good option. And then another thing, as far as like Carrie mentioned with the oats and the morning routine, kind of having them maybe make some overnight oats the night before. My kids love to do that. It's kind of fun. We'll talk about getting them in the kitchen too, but you can make yourself some and they could make some alongside you. And then you don't have to hassle with, what are we going to have to eat this morning? And let me make it. And it's already kind of done. I like to do things like that when I'm making dinner, and dinner's kind of cooking. So I'm in the kitchen, but I want to kind of do double duty. I don't want to spend, all night in the kitchen. So I'll go ahead and do things like that and prep school lunches, when I'm in the kitchen, just to kind of maximize my time. So the next thing that I wanted to mention was yogurts. Y'all, have you ever really looked at the sugar content in yogurt? It's insane. It's, 20, 30 grams in just one serving size. Well, that's like your whole day's worth, because most of the time, most of them do not have, some real fresh fruit in them. They might have some kind of fruit compo or puree or something like that, but it's added sugar is my point. It's just added sugar that we don't want and don't need. So I would caution you to first, as Carrie said, be a very good label reader. And we actually have a nutrition label reading class on our website that you can go to, and you can on our YouTube channel that you can go to and find if you want more information on, how to weed through those different components of the nutrition label. But as far as yogurt's concerned, some options that would be good, Greek yogurt would be a better option than regular plain yogurt because it has more protein. And that's where you're really going to fight some of these cravings, is by having the healthy protein and fats in your diet. So Greek yogurt, really it's best to choose plain. If you can just get a plain yogurt that is not flavored, with anything, and you can flavor it yourself. In fact, my kids actually love to flavor their yogurt, just plain Greek yogurt, with a little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of honey, and then we'll typically put some wild orange essential oil in it. Stir that up, y'all. It is so, so good. And you just used a little bit of honey to sweeten it, which is so much better than the artificial stuff that they put in those that are already sweetened. And then you can add fresh berries. You can add some nuts, maybe some granola that's low in sugar. We have a great recipe for some granola that you can make as well. So those are kind of, to me, that is super important. We're often deceived. What happens is we think we're doing something healthy. We're eating yogurt. We're getting this yogurt for our kids. This is a healthy option. And unfortunately, unless you read the label and you know what's in there, often it's not a healthy option. Now, one more thing I do want to mention about yogurt is there's a brand you've probably heard us talk about that we absolutely love called Kite Hill. It's Kite Hill. And they just started carrying it actually in our local grocery store. Used to, we had to go to Atlanta to get it. But it's a non-dairy version of yogurt. So it's made out of almond milk and almonds, basically. It is delicious. My kids love it. They don't know any different. We get the plain unsweetened and flavor it ourselves, and it is so, so good. So even if you don't have a dairy intolerance, it's really good to cut back on the dairy if you can.
And I know really quickly, I was thinking when you were saying, adding things to your own yogurt and buying it plain and doing it yourself. And I understand you may be thinking, gosh, that's just one more step that I have to do. But honestly, if you're just thinking about a whole mindset shift, just let that be something that you're open to, not just an added thing that you have to do. Think about that as being fun. Like you can add things that you couldn't buy at the store. You can make it your own. So I would just encourage you that as we're talking about some of these things, don't think about it as, I'm not going to be able to have that. Just think about different things that you can do to make it healthier, but still enjoy the things that you like.
Yes, definitely a good point. So the next tip is really to make more of your meals at home. Okay. And I know that might sound a little bit overwhelming. You think, I got to cook, but you know what? The more that you do it and the small steps that you take, you'll realize that it really does make a big difference in not only your health, but the way that you feel from the foods that you eat. Your body can become, very sensitive to, once you get rid of the toxic stuff and then you put that into your body, you'll see kind of the reaction that your body has to that. And it's not a good one because you don't feel good. But if that's something that you struggle with, I did want to mention that we actually have a program that we are developing right now that will start in January. It's called Kitchen Coaching. And it's a great way, it's going to be a great way and resource for you to learn those tips and tricks to make your time in the kitchen not only fun, but simple and easy. So be on the lookout for that. We'll be posting more about that. So I did just want to mention that. But another tip with cooking at home, first of all, don't set yourself up for failure. Set yourself up for success. So if you don't cook at all now, then maybe set a goal that next week or for a month, I'm going to cook 2 meals at home at night. I mean, that's totally doable. Pick 2 nights that you have the time to do it, that you're not rushed, because you're not going to enjoy it if you're rushed. And just stick to that. And you'll see that these slow changes over time will really help. If you have kids, 100% get your kids involved in the kitchen. Give them little assignments, no matter how old they are. Mine are 11, but, Carrie has a 2 and a 5-year-old. And I know that she has them, helping her in the kitchen. And it's so important. It's going to allow them to not only learn those skills, but they're more likely to try new things. They're more likely to think, eating healthy things is fun when you present it in a way that, we get to prepare this. It's just fun for them. And I know one thing that I have actually noticed for a long time, I would, and I still do this to some degree, fix myself something different than I fix my husband or my kids, because they didn't necessarily want the things that I was eating. But what I've noticed is they always want to try what I have. And over time, they'll say, oh, what's that? Oh, let me try it. And they'll taste it and they're like, oh, that's good. I mean, guaranteed 99% of the time they think it's delicious. And that has turned into them wanting some more of those healthier options. So, I think that them just seeing you make good choices is really, goes a long way and speaks volumes to them, really. Now, another tip as far as eating at home and kind of what you buy, I'm with Carrie. If it's not there, you're not going to eat it. So, if you can avoid buying it at the grocery store, that's step number one, which is a big step, because if it's in your house, you're probably going to eat it, right? But as far as kids go, snack options, I like to keep them, my kids can get their own snacks, but they're actually not allowed to get their own snacks. They have to ask first. So that's kind of our rule. And they know, they always ask, can I have this? Can I have this? And I put the snacks up higher. I've always done this so that they do have to ask, but now they can reach them themselves. So all the more reason that, I instilled that early on. So that just make that a rule. You have to ask me before you have a snack. And usually this is going to kind of go into after school tips. And this might be for you, it might be after work when you're super hungry. You come home and you're like, I'm starving. I need something to eat. Well, our rule here is before you can have any kind of treat, you have to have, I just say, real food. And they know that that means something that would be considered almost like a meal. It can't be like chips or cookie or anything like that. Anything in the pantry is pretty much off limits. When you come home, you have to have real food. And so they'll sometimes ask me, can I have this cookie? And I'll say, well, did you have some real food yet? And if they did, then okay, I might go ahead and give them a cookie. But if they fill up on sugary, same for us. If we fill up on sugary snack food, we're not going to be satisfied because it has no nutritional value. And then we're just going to eat and eat and eat. Another thing that you might want to think about is having dinner earlier. Like if you are just really hungry when you come home from work, even if it's, 4:30, 5 o'clock, or your kids are, go ahead and be prepared to have dinner then. So at least you're filling up on hopefully some nutrition before you do, the snacking thing. And then another couple tips for after school or after work snacks, focus on protein and fat. So that's going to tide you over. If you have some high quality fats and some protein in whatever you're eating, that's going to really tide you over. And then we like to eat leftovers for snacks. I mean, when we come home or when the kids come home from school, then I give them, usually I have leftovers from a night or two before what we had for dinner. And that's their real food that they eat when they come home. They have to have that first. So make use of your leftovers. Make use of your time in the kitchen so that you have leftovers for those type things. The other thing that I like to do for kind of a sweet treat is a smoothie. Those are so easy to make and kids love them. I mean, that's often what my kids will eat as their sweet after school, after they've had real food, is just a fruit smoothie. And they can, once they're old enough, they can make that themselves. But if not a smoothie, just fruit. Try to kind of change the taste buds into wanting that natural fruit versus the processed stuff that is not good for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was going to say about fruit because next I'm going to talk about having healthy snacks on hand, which I'm like the queen of. Anywhere I go, I always have a healthy snack. Yes. So, about the fruit, why we say that it's so important to get maybe your sugar from fruit is because it's attached to a fiber, and that's going to help it get digested better. It's not going to give you that headache feeling, just blah feeling, and it's not, it doesn't kind of cause the neurotoxic effect that processed sugar does. So it's the same, but it's different as sugar that you would think of like, granulated sugar. So when you think about healthy snacks, I really, like I was saying, I usually always have snacks stashed away in different places, whether it's my purse or the car or, wherever we're going, diaper bag, I've always got a snack somewhere. So the reason why I do that is because obviously, say we're going to go to a party and I'll need a snack on the way there. I want to fill up my kids. So hopefully they don't, they're not just so ravenously hungry that they want to eat everything in sight and then feel terrible and then consume too many bad things, I guess you could say. So I feel like snacking is really important when it's done right, because you think about snacks. Well, I don't want my kids to have too many snacks. And not that I'm saying I want them to fill up on these things all the time either, but it's really important that they're not so hungry that they make such a bad decision. And as us, for an adult, it is as well. I mean, I definitely have a snack usually every afternoon because I just want to make sure that I'm not so hungry by dinner time that in between that, I end up making a bad choice. So it's really important for both kids and adults. So just a few great snacks, especially on the go snacks. Nuts is probably one of the best snacks. I love them. My kids love them. They keep well, in your purse. They're not going to go bad necessarily unless they stay there for a while, but they never stay there for that long in my purse. So that's one of my main go-tos. Other things, obviously fruit. So grapes or like a cut up apple, something like that is a great snack. Popcorn is a pretty good snack. I don't give it to them all the time, but it's definitely a good snack, especially when you think a lot of times they want something sweet and salty. So like Julie said, make them sort of lean towards going the fruit route if they want something sweet, and then giving them something that's salty on the other end of that. And, I don't give them to them all the time, but something like maybe a cheese cracker that's made with pretty good ingredients is not a terrible way to go either. I know that they like those type of things, and so I give them to them every now and then. So that's a snack that'll keep well too. Do you have any other ones, Julie, that you can think of off the top of your head that are good that you use?
Yeah, it's usually, like you said, nuts, fruit, bananas, oranges, like tangerines. We keep those a lot of times with us. But yeah, just really just looking at the ingredients. Not that they can't have some crackers or chips from time to time, but you just need to look at the ingredients and not set that. The biggest thing I find is not to set that as an expectation every day that they're going to get those things and sweets every day. Because once, and we've gotten into, I even said to my kids recently, we had been out of town and they had some sweet treats, and then it was like every night it was like, we need dessert. And I'm like, and it's because they started to expect that. And I'm like, no. And it is much harder to break those habits once they, get them or get that in their mind. But you really just got to stick to your guns and just say, no, this is for a special occasion. They'll be upset, but it's okay. They'll get over it,
Right, exactly. And, just with thinking about all the holidays that are coming up, we're going to be having a lot of treats. But honestly, like Julie said, if you think about what do you eat on a daily basis, those aren't treats anymore. That's like your main diet. So is what you're calling treats, like you just have treats all the time, that's not a treat anymore. So you have to think about what are you giving them all the time, and then what are you actually going to make a treat that you only have maybe once or twice a week. So that's just a great way to think about it and really take inventory. We're not trying to shame anybody. This is a real problem for almost everybody. I really don't know anybody that doesn't struggle with, wanting sweet things. Even we discuss it all the time. God, I just want a piece of chocolate, it's, some people obviously are worse than others, but it's just, don't think that we don't struggle with it. Everybody does. And just because we still struggle with it, don't mean we haven't came a long way either. We used to eat a lot more sweets than we do now, and it's just a gradual progression. So with all of the different things coming up, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Julie's going to give us some tips on how you can make Halloween less of a sugar overload than maybe it has in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. So Halloween's next week, which is, so much fun for the whole family, really. But it can really, I see kids eat handfuls and handfuls of candy, and, it's not what we want to do. We want to, yes, they're going to have some candy. I think that it's kind of an unrealistic expectation. It is for me anyway, to think that my kids aren't going to have some candy, on Halloween or around the holidays. But first tip is to do not go trick-or-treating hungry. Hands down, you have to have a good solid meal before you go. Otherwise, what's going to happen? They're going to be starving, and then they're just going to eat candy and just eat more and more and more. They're never going to get full. They're not going to have the nutrition that they need, and then they're going to feel horrible afterwards. So have a good solid meal. We do something in our neighborhood where everybody gets together and brings a dish, and we meet up, an hour and a half before it's time to go trick-or-treating, and everybody gets to eat a good solid meal before we go trick-or-treating. So that's fun for the kids because they all get together and do that kind of thing. So think about maybe doing something like that. Decide in advance. Go ahead, decide in advance how many pieces of candy you will allow and how many pieces you'll allow for yourself if you're going to partake in the candy. But if you set that, what I typically do is I say, you can pick 2 or 3, whatever it is, pieces of candy to have tonight. And that lets them, they've not already eaten some and then said, oh, but I really wanted to have this. No, they know in their mind before they go, okay, at the end, I'm going to wait till the end, and then I'm going to look through all my candy, and I'm going to pick the two or three best things, and then, that's exciting for them. So just kind of set the precedence that that's all we're having, whatever your decision is on that. A couple of other things that people do. So some dentist offices will buy candy back from the kids. So what I like to do when we come home and we have our bags of candy, then I let them pick their candy, and then I take the rest of it and I put it in, not the pantry, I put it in like this hall closet that we have. And it's because out of sight, out of mind, I promise you, if it's in the pantry and it's staring everyone in the face, then you're going to want it. So I put it up. Now, yeah, sure, sometimes they'll ask me for it a day or two later. Can I have another piece? And I might let them have one. But the thing is, if it's not staring you, that goes with really anything that you don't want to eat too much of. If it's not right there in your face, then you're much less likely, to consume too much of it. But a lot of dentists will either buy the candy, you can take it to them, and they'll give money for it, or they'll give a prize for it. So that might be a cool option for your kids. You could call around to your local dentist and see who's doing that, and then, take your kids and say, oh, we can go get a fun prize if we take this bag of candy down there. Or I've heard of people buying the candy from their kids, like say, I'll give you $5 for that bag of candy, and then you can go and buy something, a toy or whatever you want. Now, of course, when they're older, $5 doesn't go a long way, so you might have to think through that decision. But also I heard somebody else said that they use the Halloween fairy, where they sit their candy out and then they do it like the Tooth Fairy. They, put money like under their pillow. So make it fun, something that they don't feel deprived, that, oh, I'm not getting to eat all this candy. Because again, you're doing them a favor. You are, helping them be successful and create healthy habits moving forward into their adulthood. And if they see you model that, then they're much more likely to make those good choices for themselves.
Yeah. And so what I do on the note of giving, kind of not having the candy around, we will go and trick or treat, and then we'll come back to our house and we'll give it out to the straggler trick or treaters that are coming by. And that's fun for them. They like to give out the candy. So maybe they've already set their candy aside that they want. I usually allow 3 pieces, like Julie said, and they get to give it out. And then we're like, oh, we don't have any more candy. How perfect is that? So I kind of feel like that's a win-win.
Yes.
Yes. So we hope that these tips were very helpful for you. And remember, these are just things that you can do in your progress towards, living your best life, living your most vibrant life. And to me, that life does not include much sugar at all. And it's going to be a struggle. I'm not going to lie. I don't ever think that it's not going to be a struggle for me to eat sugar. I just think that is unrealistic. So if you go into it with that expectation, you're going to be disappointed, I would say. So just try to cut down as much as you can and really make it a special occasion. Make these treats actual treats, make them realize that they need to treat this with a different mindset than they do, eating other food. It needs to be something they maybe savor or that they look forward to. And so if you do those things as an adult, they're just gonna think that's the way it is. And you're really gonna set them up for success, like Julie said, later in life as well. So the trick with this is persistency and consistency. So we hope that you use some of these tips, especially the Halloween's coming right up, so you can go ahead and put that into action. Let us know what comes of that. If you have a great tip that you want to share for, kind of limiting the sugar at different Halloween or even Christmas or Thanksgiving, we would love to hear from you. So we hope this was helpful. We'll see you next week.
Bye.